A grandmother has been so impressed with accessible pathways through some of the borough's parks that she has single-handedly produced 2 films in their honour. Gran of 10, Maria Tolley of Percival Road, Enfield, was inspired to create the films when she imagined what it would be like for wheelchair-bound residents who wanted to experience the borough's green spaces, forests and parks, but couldn't due to their disability. When she heard about the Greenways, stretches of wide, even paths that meander through Forty Hall to Clay Hill and up through hilly fields, she realised that they could be a fantastic way to gain access to the countryside for everyone. She has made 2 films focusing on the route from Forty Hall to the Rose and Crown pub in Clay Hill, and told the Advertiser, "People who use wheelchairs need to know exactly how accessible a walk is before actually doing it, so that's why I made a film of this particular Greenway route. By viewing the films I made, you can see how even the surface of the path is, as well as the beauty of the surrounding countryside." She added, "I really love Enfield, and I made the films because I want as many people as possible to see what I see, including those who find it difficult to get around. However, there are some in the borough who, despite Maria's passion, remain sceptical. Dickie Gleeson, Secretary of the Friends of Hilly Fields, says that the damage done to nature to install the pathways is not outweighed by their benefits. She told the Advertiser, "They have semi-ruined a cherished, quiet, natural path through Forty Hall. They are not helping the birds and are disturbing everything." Dave Cockle, chairman of the Enfield Society, said that while in principle the Greenways are great, he admitted that he was worried that because of their circuitous route on the section from Cockfosters to the Ridgeway, cyclists who have been encouraged to use the Greenways might choose to go along Hadley Road instead. However, Chris Bond, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, is adamant that the routes have vastly improved accessibility for all. "I hope that Maria's films will inspire even more people to get out there and see for themselves just how beautiful our parks and open spaces can be," he said.
George Borg has revealed his regret at his exit as manager of Enfield Town after he parted company with the Ryman Premier Division Club. The club have not confirmed the exact reason. Boss claims that it came as a result of an incident which led to him being sent to at the start of the second half of the match against Wingate and Finchley. "There were abusive chants coming out of the Wingate end towards me and my mother," he said. "I thought that the things they said about my mother were completely unacceptable, and I said something quietly to someone next to me in the dugout. The linesman heard what I said and claimed that it was an anti-Semitic remark. Wingate and Finchley are a club with strong Jewish links, and I was sent to the stands for the second half. I have a brother and sister-in-law who are Jewish, and I would never offend anyone of any religion or colour. I have never been involved in anything like this in my life before, and I've done nothing wrong." Borg, a former manager of the old Enfield Football Club, arrived at town late last year with the club struggling near the foot of the table. But he oversaw a transformation in their fortunes during the second half of the season, which saw them ultimately stave off the threat of the drop. And he expressed his sadness that his time in charge of the club had come to an end in this fashion. "I'd like to apologise to the supporters of town if they feel like I've let them down," he said. "I'd like to thank all the true supporters of Enfield for the backing they've given me. I'm sorry I've left on this note, but I felt I needed to put the great fans of the club at ease about why I've gone." A statement from town said, "Following an initial statement about the departure of George Borg, the club are unable to comment further on an alleged incident during Bank Holiday Monday's home match against Wingate and Finchley until the Football Association have concluded an investigation and produced a report.
Squatters who were occupying the site of a former university campus were evicted by bailiffs recently. The environmental campaigners had been served an eviction notice after a judge granted a possession order to developers London and Quadrant Housing, giving them permission to kick the protesters off the site in Cat Hill Cockfosters on the borough boundary with Barnet. According to the protesters, bailiffs arrived early in the morning and removed their tents and belongings from the former Middlesex University site, where a housing development is under construction. Environmental campaigner Esther from Hungary said that despite being thrown out of the camp, she was determined to stay and try to stop any further environmental damage to the site. She has set up camp on the grassy verge outside alongside the main road. There are 5 types of bats here, she told the Advertiser. I will stay here for maybe 2 more weeks, documenting the destruction of the trees and the wildlife with my camera. I care deeply about forests, and I worry about what man is doing to them. Kim Coleman, leader of a residents' protest against the development of 231 homes, who arrived at the site after the eviction, praised the conduct of the police officers on the scene. She said they have behaved brilliantly, but added the bailiffs rifled through their belongings and left them lying everywhere. I know the site was clean when the protesters left it, and I worry about the state it's been left in. We will not give up. We will keep resisting this development because what they're doing is just not right.
It's a lovely picture here of a couple who've been married for 60 years. A couple have a very special reason to celebrate as they mark 60 years of marriage with their diamond wedding anniversary. Ron and Pam Brett of Borrowdale Court, Gordon Hill, will have been married for 60 years on Thursday, September the 11th. The couple lived in Edmonton for 28 years and have lived in Enfield for the past 32, where they said everyone is most kind. They moved to Gordon Hill 3 years ago. The Bretts first met in 1949 after being pen pals for a year. A friend of Pam suggested that she write to a friend of her boyfriend's who was doing his national service in Egypt. They wrote letters to each other while Ron was away, and Pam was taking evening secretarial classes in South London. They met for their first date under the clock at Charing Cross Station and spent the evening at Lyons Corner House in Tottenham Court Road, where Pam recalled the salabard was £1/crown. Ron popped the question in 1951, and the couple were married 3 years later at Christchurch, Shooters Hill, South London, when Ron was 25 and Pam was 22. Their wedding day was not without its fair share of drama. On the way to the church, the steering wheel of the hired car in which Ron was travelling jammed, and after a rather stressful journey, he ended up arriving at the ceremony in a van. But at the turn of events did not faze his bride-to-be, and Pam, 82, jokingly told the Advertiser, the commotion with the car on our wedding day didn't turn out to be an omen. Ron, who is 85, and Pam have 2 daughters, Chris and Angie, as well as 7 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren, the youngest of whom is just 4 months old. Pam said, "We're very proud of our little dynasty. We never thought we'd get to having great-grandchildren. They are our joy." The couple have always shared a number of different pastimes, including walking and reading. They say the secret of their success is that they have always done everything together. They've often enjoyed pleasant weekends away at Ron's sister's home in Swanage, Dorset, where the unpredictable English weather forced them to have fun in both the rain and the sun. The couple will be having afternoon tea at Capel Manor in Ballsmore Lane, Enfield, to celebrate their diamond day with all their family.
It's not often that you solve a decades-old mystery 2 weeks into your new job, But that's exactly what Alex Ferris, Green Space Manager at Lee Valley Regional Park, did on a walk between Forty Hall and his office in Middleton House. Mr. Ferris found an urn that had been missing from Middleton House Gardens for more than 20 years. The manager told the Enfield Independent about his find. He said, "I brought this urn back to one of our experienced gardeners, Brian Hewitt, and he was amazed at what I had discovered. It turned out to be a missing urn that dated back to the 1920s and was one of a pair that was collected by famous horticulturist E.A. Bowles. The now found twin is currently in storage after being taken out of a ditch, and Mr. Ferris believes that the urn was stolen. He said, "I knew it was special when I saw it, and there can only be one explanation for it, that it was stolen and someone found it too heavy to carry and dumped it." Mr. Ferris admitted that it was a special feeling to find something that had been missing for almost 2 decades, and revealed that it would be hard to top. He said, "It's not something I imagine I will be able to top, that's for sure. I don't think many people do something like this in their first month in the job."
A councillor and his fellow allotmenteers were left flummoxed when a marrow grew more than 5 feet long. Councillor George Sava, who represents Hazelberry Ward, has been looking after his allotment for nearly 40 years, but is now taking his gardening to new lengths. A marrow on his allotment patch in Crawford Gardens, Palmer's Green, sprouted to 5 feet and 9 inches and is still growing. Other gardeners are baffled at how the vegetable could reach such a size. Councillor Sava said, "I never expected for a marrow on my patch to grow like this. I feel like I should enter it into a competition." The passionate gardener has encouraged others to get involved and start growing their own vegetables. He said, "It is a social place down here and something I have been doing for a long time. I can relax here and I think others should get involved."
Enfield has seen a significant jump in the number of tenants buying their homes from the council under the revived Right to Buy scheme. Since the coalition government reinvigorated Margaret Thatcher's flagship policy by raising the discount with which council tenants can buy their properties to £100,000 in April last year, 133 Enfield council homes have been sold to tenants. In Haringey, 177 council properties were sold, while in Barnet it was 138 during the same period. Only 8 Enfield tenants bought their homes during 2011-2012. The following year, that figure jumped to 56. In an ironic twist that reveals the extent of the borough's housing crisis, it has been revealed that the council has snapped up 2 properties it previously sold at a considerable discount under Right to Buy to house families in need. Faced with 2,398 households in temporary accommodation in the private sector and a council housing waiting list numbering 2,609 households earlier this year, the council set up a company to buy homes in the private sector to house families at risk of homelessness. Ahmet Okanya, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Housing, said the government must give local authorities the right to opt out of the policy. "We are trying to build more, but as this goes on, it's putting pressure on our resources because we are housing people in need in the private sector." Joanne Laban, the Deputy Leader of Enfield Council's Conservative Group, defended the policy. "We support Right to Buy and it should continue," she said. "Successive governments have not built enough new homes and that should be addressed, but helping people to buy their own home is good policy."
An eco-friendly music festival rocked a rural idyll recently. Livestock saw bands, singers, performers and artists create beautiful music in the barns and fields of Forty Hall Farm in Forty Hill, Enfield. One of the organisers of the festival, Leo Wilking, spoke to the Advertiser after the event. "It was brilliant," he said. "We put up a comments board and we had about 20 sheets of responses. Everybody raved about it and they said, 'You've got to do this again.' Everything on the day was just amazing. The event proved so popular with music fans that organisers have decided to keep the atmosphere going throughout the year with fortnightly blues nights in one of the barns on the farm. But Leo took the opportunity to stress that no sheep were disturbed at all by the event.
With only a short time to go until the launch of Black History Month, the borough is gearing up for song, performance and comedy. Enfield songstress Janet Kay will be performing at the Dugdale Centre as part of the event celebrating Black history in the British Isles. However, in a bid to underline the importance of understanding how the history of Black Britain intertwines with the modern understanding of race, deeper investigations into racial issues will be on the agenda. One artist exploring representations of race in the arts will be the Enfield-based dancer and choreographer Lauren White, who will present his new work which aims to represent the diversity of Black British dance, fusing African and contemporary dance styles. Yasmin Brett, who is the Cabinet Member for Community Organisations on Enfield Council, said the month represents people in the borough with an opportunity to discuss, explore and celebrate the history and contributions of our Black communities. She added, Black History Month gives a focus and greater visibility to these issues and their importance and is an opportunity for everyone to get involved. Rohini Simbadile, Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport, Youth and Public Health for Enfield Council, said, there really is something for everyone in the programme with comedy, speeches, music, dance and theatre. Make sure you check out the events and book early as some of the shows will sell out extremely quickly.
A woman says she has been left depressed after Enfield Homes failed to replace her bedroom ceiling when it started to leak. Sarah Narimbe of Hadrian's Ride in Bush Hill Park has been stuck with a fiberglass ceiling for almost a year, forcing her to sleep on the sofa. I noticed a crack in the ceiling in October 2012 in the corner of my bedroom, and it was causing a leak, she told the Enfield Independent. I called Enfield Homes up and they did nothing. So the mould spread more and more, which was bad for my health. The hotel attendant claims that Enfield Homes then removed the ceiling on September the 2nd, 2013, and told her they would put a new ceiling on in the coming months. She said they knocked down the ceiling, leaving the area where the leak was right open. They said they would be back in December, but they did nothing. I cannot sleep in that room any more. Every time it rains, I fill up buckets and buckets of water. Nobody should be made to live like this. Forced to sleep in her front room, she revealed this has caused her great pain and left her depressed. She said, "Who pays rent to live like this? It is disgraceful. It has given me tension and depression. I sleep in pain. No one has helped me. I can't pay the rent after 2 years like this in Britain. I never lived in places like this in Africa." She last received a visit from Enfield Homes in March, but has yet to hear back from them regarding her ceiling. She added, "My friends told me not to go in that room because the fiberglass is a health hazard and it will make you ill breathing it in." An Enfield Homes spokesman said, due to delays by an Enfield Homes contractor, these works were reassigned in August. The new contractor is currently negotiating access with this tenant's neighbour in order to erect scaffolding. Enfield Homes regrets this delay and inconvenience and will be meeting Miss Narembe as soon as possible to apologise.
Teenagers were treated to a motivational talk from new Spurs player Eric Dyer. The young defender took part in a question and answer session with students on the BTEC sports course at Barnet and Southgate College as part of a Tottenham Hotspur Foundation event. Answering questions from the students at the Frederick Knight Sports Ground, Mr. Dyer revealed that his favourite subjects at school were English and history, and that he still spends his free time hanging out with his friends. He said, "My parents always said to me, always do your best, and then you'll be fine. School is really important. You've got to find the right balance between that and football." The player said he had had a smooth ride so far, and that settling in at White Hart Lane following his arrival from Sporting Lisbon last month had been really easy. Talking about the pressure of playing in big matches, he said, "You just concentrate on what you're going to do. When there's pressure on me, it helps me concentrate and be more prepared. You fight back." The students, aged between 16 and 18, are all on a course run by the college in partnership with the Spurs Education and Football Development Centres. The programme teaches aspiring players the importance of education. Grant Cornwall, Chief Executive Officer of the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation, said the event, billed as pre-season training by the club, hoped to inspire young people. He said, "We want to show them that the players are not that different from them, and that it's dedication and hard work that you need to have."
Anyone thinking of hopping on a bike but is put off by the price tag can now test their bicycle legs by forking out just a tenner. The scheme to let people try before they buy is part of the London cycling campaign strategy to enable anyone who is interested in cycling to hire a bike for a month for £10 to see if they like it. Anyone who lives, works or studies in Enfield and is curious about how the daily commute will be changed by cycling can sign up for the scheme, which sees helmets, bike locks, lights, high-vis jackets and child seats all included in the price. The London Cycling Campaign Laces product allows Enfield residents to rent the bicycles for just £10 a month. A number of free help and training days are available, so there's no excuse not to try it out. To sign up for the scheme, budding cyclists simply have to fill out an online application, and a representative from London Cycling Campaign will get in touch to discuss the individual needs and arrange a date and time for the collection of the bike. One resident giving the scheme a go is Gary Kilby, who admitted he'd been impressed by the low cost. "I've even had a child seat fitted for my little one." Mr. Bond is encouraging all residents to give cycling a go, dabbing Enfield a cycling haven thanks to its many large green open spaces and greenways.
A pub is hoping to raise £10,000 to help local charities by hosting a fun day. The Salisbury Arms Pub in Hoppers Road, Winchmore Hill, laid on go-karts, face painting and steel drums on Saturday to raise money for Noah's Ark Children's Hospice based in Enfield and Haringey, as well as North London Hospice. Pub manager Gavin Chimasamy told the Enfield Independent that the pub has embraced its local community. He said, "We love to get involved with our local community and keep raising money for local charities. North London Hospice is just down the road and it's great to see people getting involved." The pub set itself a target of raising £10,000 for charities over 12 months. Mr. Chimasamy added, "It's ambitious, but we want to raise as much as possible for local charities." The pub has also raised money for Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Botany Bay clinched promotion from Hearts Cricket League Division 1 after recording a 7-wicket win against Kings Langley. Bay won the toss and elected to bowl. A good display with the ball from the Botany attack saw Kings dismissed for 185. The wickets were shared among the bowlers. Jason Coleman took 2 for 49, Danny Muschamp ended with 2 for 40, Dan Kastelik claimed 2 for 39, and Greg Harris secured 3 for 41. The Bay reply was spearheaded by opening Casey Harris. He scored 93 not out, and Kastelik's knock of 57 not out helped guide Botany to victory and promotion. Holt White's Trinibus's relegation from Division 1 was confirmed as they lost by 10 wickets to Empt Hill Town. Holt White's was skittled for just 99 and Town eased to victory in the 16th over without loss. Northampton Exiles secured a 1-wicket win over Rickmansworth in a low-scoring contest in Division 4. Ricky batted first but could only muster the subpar total of 108 all out. That almost proved enough, but Exiles chased down the runs with 1 wicket in hand. North Enfield's penultimate Division 3 match of the season ended in a draw against Chipperfield Clarendon. North Enfield fielded first but could not restrict their opponents from running up a score of 250 for 7. North Enfield's reply was slow, and they ended on 148 for 8 after their allotted 47 overs. Winchmore Hill's dismal Middlesex County Cricket League Division 2 campaign continued with an 85-run loss against Harrow St Mary's. Harrow scored 221 for 8, and that proved too much as Hill were dismissed for just 136. Enfield suffered a 31-run loss against Brentham after a poor batting display. Brentham posted just 133, but that was more than enough for victory as Enfield was skittled out for just 102.
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Janet, Sally, Colin, Keith and Robin on the controls, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Dyer, Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.